Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, we're going to be talking about a lot of light tonight, because every year at the start of the year I do 2 shows that cover events for the whole year. And this week's show is going to cover all of the new moons and the eclipses for 2021, and that will be month by month. Next week's show will cover predictions for all 12 of the sun signs, so stay tuned and tell your friends to subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, and that way they'll get the news too. But if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, where you can also see the show and read our blog every week, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is Choices. And that's because in order to get through the treachery and the changing conditions of 2021, you'll have to make some choices. And so this is a year when you're going to need to perhaps diversify. Why? Because there can be a lot of financial gridlock this year. And it's a little bit like taking a ride on the freeway trying to get to work, and there's an accident and you're just stuck there. That could happen to you somewhere in your life this year, and more than once as well. And so you would have to be making some choices. Do you stay where you are and be sort of stalled? Or do you take a detour? Maybe you take the next exit and you take a detour and you start making a different choice. In fact, you could get through this year by making some choices that go along and are successful right up until you hit gridlock, and then maybe you'd want to change and go to your second choice right up until it hits gridlock, and then go back to the first choice again. That's called a zigzag pattern, but that is the way that you could make it through 2021 and avoid the tremendous gridlock that we will be facing this year. And so that is because there will be a lot of conditions that are beyond your control. Some of them could be very unexpected and expensive. Some of them could be even life-threatening. And if they're beyond your control, there isn't much you can do about them. And also, you didn't cause them. So that is why right now, if you just can think of 2 choices or 2 plans that you sort of A and B that you could work on sort of a little bit at a time, so that you sort of go in one direction until you hit an obstacle and then turn around and choose plan B and go in another direction, you could be successful. But I can guarantee you this year in 2021, there is no straight shot to success. There is no way to get all the way through and achieve your goal without meeting gridlock or obstacles along the way this year. There's also no triple eclipse this year. There isn't going to be quite the dramatic social unrest and change that we saw last year, but there's still a lot of other things going on. And the reason why you're going to have to make choices is because there are 3 malefic planets: Mars, Saturn, and Uranus. 2 of those malefic planets right now are harshly squaring each other, and they're stuck there. They're going to stay there for years. Saturn in Aquarius is going to be there for 2.5 to 3 years, and it is squaring Uranus, a planet of volatility, in Taurus, a fixed financial sign. And Uranus isn't leaving until 2025. So these 2 malefic planets are really going to stay in the same signs for years. And so it's the 3rd malefic planet that is going to cause a lot of problems this year, and that's why you're going to need to make choices. And the 3rd malefic planet is Mars. Mars, whenever it hits a fixed sign, and there are 4 fixed signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Whenever Mars hits a fixed sign, it is going to activate in a very challenging, threatening way the other 2 malefic planets that are already challenging each other, and it's just going to set up an awful lot of trouble and financial gridlock, because Uranus is in Taurus, a fixed financial sign. So we have to be very careful, and we have to have those choices ready in the periods of time when Mars is in a fixed sign. Well, actually, it's happening right now. Mars is in Taurus. Now, it's moved out of Aries, and it's now in Taurus, and it is conjuncting Uranus in Taurus. This is terrible, because Mars is a planet of greed and aggression and war. And it is conjuncting Uranus, a planet that rules high tech and space and cyber warfare, and it rules things that are ahead of their time, and it rules the future. And so these two planets are closely conjuncting each other, and they're squaring that Saturn in Aquarius. So Mars will be in the fixed sign Taurus right now in January and halfway through the month of February. So we're looking at trouble and a lot of gridlock right away this year. Then it will go through Gemini and it'll go through Cancer. And in the last half of June and the whole month of July, Mars will be in another fixed sign, Leo. And it will set up a harsh T-cross. So Mars in Leo will be opposing Saturn in Aquarius. Lots of heart attacks while Mars is in Leo. And these two planets are also going to be squaring that Uranus in Taurus. So financial gridlock, turmoil, possibility of war, a lot of danger at that time, because all those planets that are malefic planets will also be squaring and opposing the sign of Scorpio, which does rule war. Okay, and so then it'll move through after July is over, it will move through Virgo and then Libra, and then it comes in, by November, it comes into Scorpio. Mars rules Scorpio. And so what we're seeing again is a real possibility of war, tremendous financial gridlock, lots of greed to go around, and danger. And so that simply means that Mars will be in Scorpio, a sign it rules, and it will be sextiling the other planet that rules Scorpio, Pluto, which will be in Capricorn, and Mars will be opposing Uranus in Taurus. So the fixed financial signs will have malefic planets in them. Not good for money, not good for anything that money is connected to, such as financial institutions, investment houses, taxes, credit, loans, grants, insurance. All those things can be threatened. And so Mars will stay in Scorpio all the way through November and the first half of December. So that is why you need to have some choices ready now, because you're going to run into situations you didn't cause at all. But what are you going to do? Stay stuck in them? Or are you going to take a zigzag path where you can follow your plan A for a while until you hit gridlock, and then turn around and try to take a detour or diversify and follow plan B for a while? You could inch through 2021 and probably be rather successful at that, but you can't make a straight shot forward. There's too much hostility and gridlock this year, and so I am not sold that this is going to be a great financial year, no matter what other people are saying. I just think we all need to be very careful. So what does it mean in January? Well, on January 13th, there is a new moon at 23 degrees of Capricorn. And Capricorn rules, it rules big business and government agencies and the management at the top of them. And those planets in Capricorn, 3 of them, the Sun, Moon, and Pluto, are all trining that Mars and Uranus in Taurus. And so there can be financial gridlock, but it is centered around plans in corporations or government agencies that are really focused on business, on wanting to do business and to make big deals. And so it's a business attitude type of way that we start the year. But there are a lot of planets in fixed signs. In fact, since there are Uranus in Taurus and Mars in Taurus are squaring Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, the whole time. It simply means that the future is looking iffy. But particularly as far as finances go, it's looking iffy. This is a good year if you're in debt to pay down your debt and try to be as debt-free as possible this year. It really might save your bacon as you go on through the year, because it's going to be a sort of a dangerous year for that. Okay, what does it mean in February? Well, in February, on February 11th, there is a new moon at 23 degrees of Aquarius. And, oh, is the future ever accentuated? There's going to be 6 planets in Aquarius. And so that really puts a focus on the things that Aquarius rules, such as high tech, space, aviation, computers, electricity, the whole telecommunications field, and any future plans. Or Aquarius rules music, but it also rules invention. So all of those things are highlighted, which is great. But those 6 planets in Aquarius are squaring, that on February 11th are squaring Mars and Uranus in Taurus. And the sad thing about the whole year is that, particularly for Aquarians, is that their ruler, Uranus, is in Taurus, squaring their own sign, and it's squaring all 6 planets there as well. So there's still an emphasis on some sort of financial gridlock that could be coming up, or arguments about financing in one way or another, or products. And this is a good time to save your money, because you're going to need it this year. And the reason you're going to need it is because there can be unexpected high expenses. That's Uranus in Taurus. It's a financial sign, and Uranus rules sudden change. So if there were unexpected high expenses that you had to face, having some extra savings would sort of get you over that. And that would be a good way. That's why you need to save your money this year. What does it mean in March? Well, in March we're saved. And the reason why is that on March 13th there is a new moon at 23 degrees of Pisces. Oh, and you couldn't have 4 better signs in Pisces. The sun will be there, the new moon, and Venus, the planet of love, and Neptune, the ruler of Pisces. So all 4 of those planets simply mean there can be a lot of information coming out from things that have been going on behind the scenes. And it would indicate that there's a possibility of some sort of better understanding or healing going on, which would be great for everybody. And also in March, there is the possibility that there can be some definite escape from confinement of one sort or another. So some people can be saying, hey, I've been confined long enough, that's it. But they're not breaking away. They can kind of escape because it's okay to do that. And that's what I mean by we are saved in one way or another. Pisces rules all areas of confinement. It rules jails and prisons and hospitals and sanitariums. And so there is the possibility of this wonderful escape from confinement that should make a lot of people happy. Okay, what does it mean to an Aries, or in April? Well, on April 12th, there is a new moon at 22 degrees of Aries. But April 12th is very close to April 15th, tax day. And so there is the possibility, once again, of some sort of gridlock, because Uranus is still in Taurus, and it is still being squared by Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. So 2 malefic planets are in continual harsh square to each other throughout this year, next year, and part of the year after that. So that's why you need to hang on to your money a little bit more, and also try to stay out of debt. So anyway, there can be a lot of emphasis on having to pay your taxes in April, or that could be a time when you get an unexpectedly high bill, but it could be something where they raise the cost of an insurance premium, or that a credit company raises the rate of their interest rates that they're charging. I mean, things could get sort of expensive, and so Mars is going to go into Gemini by the end of the month, and it will be trining that Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, and Gemini rules buying and selling. So there is the possibility in April that there's an awful lot of deal making going on and buying and selling, as some people are trying to maybe sell things in order to pay bills that are due. And so that can be going on as well. So a new beginning could simply be to get somebody beyond the gridlock stage and into trying to solve a financial problem. Okay, what does it mean in May? Well, in May, on May 11th, there is a new moon at 21 degrees of Taurus. And Taurus is a fixed financial sign. And so that simply means that the sun, the exalted moon, because it's always exalted in Taurus, and Uranus in Taurus are all being tried by Pluto in Capricorn. And that simply means that there really could be some extra money around for a government program or for an expansion of a business. That could be sort of healthy for it. But there are still quite a few planets in fixed signs, and that simply means there's a lot of stubbornness and a lot of gridlock going on. But this is a new moon in May that starts off with a heavy emphasis on the bottom line, on business. So there could be budget cuts, there could be staffing cuts. And that's why the start of May is a sort of a tough month. It starts off tough, but it doesn't end that way. It ends in a soft way. Why? Because by the end of May, Jupiter, a major planet, changes sign. It leaves Aquarius and it goes into Pisces, where it stays through just a little bit of the end of May and then all of June and July before it returns to Aquarius. And then at the end of this year, 2 days before this year ends, 2021, Jupiter will then move into Pisces for a whole year next year. That's why I'm saying save your money this year. You're going to need it. But if you have any money left over, don't buy something this year. Buy it next year, because next year's going to be a much better year. And besides, you'll have that financial cushion should you need it, which you might need later on in the year. So anyway, there is an emphasis on business, and that's why there can be some pretty hard deals made at the start of May, and it's tough deals that are made, but they can be done. It could even be the merger of some pretty large groups or pretty large companies that are done as well. And then on May 6th, we come into the summer eclipses. And on May 26th, there is a lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius rules foreign countries, higher education, it rules the courts, it rules large international organizations like the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund or the United Nations. And it also rules people from foreign countries, and it rules long distance travel. But it's a lunar eclipse. And in a lunar eclipse, that's a full moon. And we generally say that one woman goes and another woman comes under a full moon. So there is the possibility at this time near the end of May that a well-educated woman, perhaps even from a foreign country, decides to step down. She may be a member of an international organization, but she may decide to step down. And that would be pretty good timing for her as well. She would be doing it for the right reasons, which is nice. And then, what does it mean in June? Well, in June, on June 10th, there is a solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Gemini. Gemini rules 2 of everything. In fact, all of the eclipses in 2021 are in only 2 signs, with one exception. They're all in Gemini or Sagittarius, except for a lunar eclipse in November in Taurus. And Sagittarius and Gemini are both mutable signs that are very adaptable and versatile, and they rule change. Different kinds of change, but they rule change. And Gemini rules easy transitional change, and Sagittarius rules longer term, more permanent change after very careful thought. And so this solar eclipse in Gemini is accenting the things that Gemini rules, such as youth. And besides, it's getting to be summertime anyway. So there can be quite an emphasis on youth and on short journeys and on temporary or short-term projects or education that is based more on skills training of some sort, sort of getting yourself ready for a summer job. So all of those things. And then high school and college graduations, or that's about the time when they usually occur. Maybe that will be a little different this year. We don't know. So there is an emphasis on summer is coming, and everybody can be just happy about that. And that's why we don't see the danger coming. And danger lurks in June. Remember I said every time that Mars gets into a fixed sign, it's a malefic planet, and it sets up harsh conditions with the other malefic planets. Well, in the last half of June and all of July, Mars is in Leo. And Leo rules children, love affairs, sports, the entertainment industry, and it rules leadership. But Mars is there, and it rules the heart, the back, and the blood supply. So watch those things closely if you have health problems there. So we don't see the danger coming, but it's there. Why don't we see the danger coming? Because we are asleep at the switch. And the last time I heard that we were asleep at the switch was December 7th of 1941. And that was when Pearl Harbor was bombed. So I don't exactly know if war is headed our way, but it looks like it may be. And it may be about money. It may be about it may be motivated by greed. But there is a real strong possibility that war occurs this year. And whether it's somebody else's war that we become involved in, or whether we are attacked ourselves, we'll have to wait and see on that, but it could happen. And it could particularly happen around the end of June or in early July, while Mars is in Leo, opposing Saturn in Aquarius, and both of them are squaring Uranus in Taurus. Okay, bad deal. And so you have to be really, really careful in the last part of June and in July. So the euphoria and the fun and games of that solar eclipse in Gemini on June 10th simply means that we've taken our eye off the ball a little bit, and we don't see danger coming because we're asleep at the switch. And that means that June ends in a sad way. And we'll just have to live through that. What does it mean in July? Well, on July 10th, there is a new moon at 18 degrees of Cancer. And Cancer rules America and Canada. And it is a new moon that is trine to Neptune in Pisces, is certainly trining it. And so is Jupiter in Pisces as well. Jupiter hasn't gone back into Aquarius yet. And so this can be a very hopeful time for homes and families and patriotism and having a heck of a good 4th of July. That would go under those auspices as well. But this is a time really when people have to concentrate on, please excuse the noise, I'm sorry. People have to concentrate once again on money and on danger and the possibility of war, because Mars is in Leo and the malefic planets are activated in a very challenging and harmful way. So who could be harmed? Children could be harmed badly. And if there is warfare, it may even be something like young people. It could be gang warfare of some sort, could really explode. So guard your family well under the new moon in Cancer at 18 degrees on July 10th, because the new moon, there's nothing wrong with the new moon. It's what's right ahead of it, that Mars in Leo, that does represent danger. So look before you leap. because July is the most dangerous month of the whole year. And if there's going to be an attack, it could be any time in the last part of June or in July. There wouldn't be much stopping it. And so that is why I'm telling you, if you're stuck in a situation that you didn't cause and it's out of your control, make some choices. Choose to go one way until you get gridlocked or stopped, and then go to plan B and try something else, and that will actually get you through. Okay, what does it mean in August? Well, on August 8th, there is a new moon at 16 degrees of Leo. And as I said, you know, Leo was pretty activated by having Mars there. But Mars has moved on. It's gone into Virgo, then it'll go into Libra, and then it'll hit another fixed sign. It's just really dangerous this year when it hits the fixed signs. So on August 8th, when there is a new moon at 16 degrees of Leo, the good things in Leo are accentuated. If we have trouble in July, maybe we're going to take a new look at how we handle children and how we treat the people we love, and how we regard sports and the whole entertainment field. You know, not as playthings, but maybe there's a real important function that can help society a little bit more. Leo rules leadership. And that is a time when leadership could sort of step up. But there will be a lot of planets in fixed signs as well. In fact, I think there's about 7 planets in fixed signs at that time. So gridlock again. And if you can get through this year without coming up against gridlock, it will be a miracle. But I don't think any of us are going to escape that. Either financial gridlock or people who are so greedy or so set in their own ways that they refuse to compromise or listen. So yes, the things in Leo can be highlighted in August, but you still need to be really careful and re-examine what's important to you in your heart, because Leo rules the heart. And maybe that's a good time to just stop and think about who you love and how important they are to you. Because what does it mean in September? Well, in September, on September 7th, there is a new moon at 15 degrees of Virgo. And it's sort of like back to normal. In other words, it's also back to school at that time. And people are going to want to go back to the way things used to be. Is that really possible? I don't think so, but that's what they feel most secure at. The things that are the way they used to be. So they may decide to do that, but we have all lived through some pretty bad things in 2020. It looks to me like we're going to get a few things that are even worse in 2021. And you know, they're going to toughen us up. They're going to make us stronger. They're going to unite us more. Americans are not the kind of people that run. And, you know, we like our independence. So there is the possibility that trying to get back to something that's normal can almost seem like shirking your responsibility. And I don't think you're actually going to be able to do that anymore. That we all have to be looking out for ourselves a little bit more. And by September, maybe you're realizing that, okay, you can't solve really big world problems, but maybe you could solve some health issues and some smaller problems and some banking problems of your own. And that would be a good idea. Because what does it mean in October? Ooh, October is the month we're waiting for. On October 6th, there is a new moon at 13 degrees of Libra. Libra rules partnership. It rules love and marriage. It rules contracts, and it rules fairness and balance and the arts. And October is a turnaround month. And the reason why it's a turnaround month is because Libra also rules peace. And there's going to be 4 planets in Libra, and they are all going to be trining Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. 6 planets in the Earth sign, or in the air signs, all trining each other, means that October is the month that you can make up for lost time. So clear the decks. Don't go on vacation in October. If you had a few problems, if you've been stuck in traffic, if you haven't taken detours and you sort of regret it, you can make up for lost time in October. And that is because in October, peace prevails. And that lets everybody catch their breath. And it gives us all time, once again, to concentrate on love and on fairness and balance and on making up for lost time, which is what we're going to do. Okay, what does it mean in November? Well, on November 4th, there is a new moon at 13 degrees of Scorpio. And this is a time when you have to be, once again, very, very careful. In fact, the other times when Mars was in a fixed sign, such as now, when it is in Taurus, and then in the last of June and all of July when it's in Leo, the harsh conditions that sets up and challenges that sets up, even the possibility of war, are nothing compared to what's going to happen in November. Why? Because Mars rules Scorpio. Scorpio is a fixed financial sign. It rules credit, debt, taxes, loans. It rules funding of a lot of things. And it rules insurance payments, or it rules the cost of insurance, and it also rules inheritance. And so Mars is going to be in Scorpio, the sign it rules, and it will be opposing, and it's a real steady planet, particularly in the sign that it rules. And Mars rules war, so does Scorpio. But Scorpio rules justice and survival as well. So if you in some way you are on the losing end of something in November, you may get a chance to make up for that. You may get a chance to see that justice is done after all, because that Mars is opposing Uranus in Taurus. And so these are the fixed financial signs. Those are two very dynamic, impulsive, aggressive, greedy planets. And they're opposing each other, and they're squaring that Saturn in Aquarius. So push comes to shove in November. There is going to be some justice. There is no amount of money that's going to get away from that. It may be that some people have to endure some pretty hefty fines. But there's also a couple of other possibilities, which is why I'm saying make your choices now and then wait and see if you have to use them. But there could be bankruptcies. You know, the financial signs are threatened in November. There could be bankruptcies, and they could be bankruptcies that involve banks or credit unions, but also investment houses. You know, investment houses are ruled by Taurus. And so there is the possibility that some pretty surprising banks could fail, or investment houses could fail as well, or we could be hearing about some really giant scam that has been perpetuated for quite a while, but is finally unearthed and something comes to justice. Well, that would be fine. But it's an extremely dangerous time, because Mars is stronger in Scorpio than it is in Taurus or Leo, because it rules the sign. And so, you know, that Mars is squaring Saturn and Uranus. The future is looking iffy in November. And there would be some resolution. The aspects would be so harsh in November, there would be some resolution. In other words, if there's going to be a trade deal or there's going to be a war, there could be some way of getting things settled. You know, and people could step back from the brink and decide, well, maybe I better settle something now, and they could probably do it. What does it mean in December? Oh, wait a minute. 2 weeks later, after the new moon on November 4th, there is a lunar eclipse. That's part of the winter eclipses that are coming up. And this lunar eclipse occurs on November 19th at 27 degrees of Taurus. It is the only eclipse in 2021 that is not in Gemini or Sagittarius. It is in a fixed financial sign. And because it's a lunar eclipse, and we say under a full moon that one woman goes and another woman comes, there is the possibility around the end of November or mid-November that a very wealthy woman steps down. And she could be highly regarded, in fact, revered. Could even be somebody like the Queen of England. And so this person would deserve our love and our praise, but she steps down probably for a very good reason. And so that is a good outcome of that full moon. And then, what does it mean in December? Oh, well, on December 4th, there is the second winter eclipse, and that is at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. We had a solar eclipse in Sagittarius in December of 2020 as well. And this eclipse in Sagittarius simply means that some resolutions can be changed in some way. Sagittarius rules the higher mind and the courts and higher education. And so policies concerning those things can sort of get a new, fresh look. Or there can be a new beginning somewhere. Solar eclipses are always new moons, so it always denotes a new beginning. And since Sagittarius rules foreign countries, there is the possibility, even if it's at the end of the year, that a new country could be formed. And that new country could have been before part of an older country. But it, for one reason or another, could become a new country of its own, no longer part of the older one. And I think that all of that would be met with approval at that time. So that's sort of a nice way to end the year, with something new. Okay, so this year, just remember, no straight shots to success, but if you diversify or if you make choices, you should be able to take a zigzag path, and if you take enough detours, you can still make it through. Just save your money, because I think you're going to need it. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and read our blog on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.